Ever loved someone so deeply that they became your entire world, only to realize one day that life had quietly pulled you apart? Sometimes, growing up doesn't just change us, it changes the people who love us the most. This is the unforgettable true story of Khushwant Singh and his grandmother, a story about unconditional love, silent sacrifice, and a farewell that even nature came to mourn. Khushwant Singh often remembered the happiest days of his childhood when he lived with his grandmother in a peaceful village. They were inseparable. Every morning before sunrise, she would gently wake him, help him get ready for school, prepare his wooden writing slate, and lovingly hold his hand as they walked together to the village temple school. While the little boy attended his classes, his grandmother quietly sat inside the temple, reading holy scriptures and praying. When school ended, they walked home together, feeding stale chapatis to the village stray dogs along the way. It was a simple routine, but every moment was filled with love and companionship. For the young boy, there was no better friend than his grandmother. But life has a way of changing even the strongest bonds. Soon, the family moved to the city. Everything that had once brought them together slowly began to disappear. He joined an English medium school and traveled by school bus, so his grandmother could no longer accompany him. His new education was filled with science, mathematics, and modern subjects. His grandmother couldn't understand why children were no longer taught about God or sacred scriptures. She was even disturbed to learn that the school taught music, believing it belonged only to wandering musicians and beggars, not to respectable families. As the years passed, the distance between them grew, not because they stopped loving each other, but because life quietly led them in different directions. When Khushwant Singh entered the university, he received his own room. That simple change broke the last daily connection they shared. Yet his grandmother never complained. She never demanded attention. She accepted her loneliness with remarkable dignity. Her days became peaceful and predictable. She spent hours spinning yarn on her old spinning wheel, softly reciting prayers while her fingers moved gently over the beads of her wooden rosary. Only one part of each day truly brought her joy. Every afternoon, she stepped into the veranda carrying a handful of grain. Within moments, hundreds of sparrows would gather around her. Some perched on her shoulders, others rested on her lap, her arms, and even her head. She never chased them away. For those precious moments, she was surrounded by quiet friendship. Years later, another difficult day arrived. Khushwant Singh was leaving for England to continue his higher studies. As he bent down to touch his grandmother's feet, a painful thought crossed his mind. She was already very old. Perhaps this would be the last time he would ever see her. But his grandmother simply smiled, blessed him, and watched him leave without shedding a tear. 5 long years passed. When he finally returned home, he was amazed to find her waiting at the railway station. She looked almost exactly the same. Age had touched her body, but not her spirit. That evening, something happened that no one had ever seen before. For the first time in her life, she forgot her evening prayers. Instead, she gathered the neighborhood women, picked up an old drum, and joyfully sang songs celebrating the return of her grandson. She laughed, sang, and celebrated as though her heart knew this happiness would never come again. The very next morning, she fell seriously ill. The family tried to comfort her, but she quietly told them that her end was near. She refused to spend her remaining moments in conversation. Instead, she devoted every breath to prayer. Lying peacefully on her bed, she softly moved the beads of her rosary while silently chanting God's name. Then, without fear, without struggle, her lips stopped moving. The rosary slipped gently from her fingers, and she peacefully left this world. As preparations for her funeral began, something extraordinary happened. Thousands of sparrows suddenly flew into the veranda. They quietly surrounded her body. Not a single bird chirped. The entire house fell in complete silence. Seeing the birds, the author's mother scattered breadcrumbs on the floor, just as the grandmother had done every afternoon. But the sparrows ignored the food completely. They hadn't come for bread. They had come to mourn the woman who loved them without expecting anything in return. When the funeral procession finally carried her away, the sparrows silently rose into the sky and disappeared together. Their quiet farewell became the most touching tribute of all. This beautiful story reminds us that our elders rarely ask for wealth, expensive gifts, or grand gestures. More than anything else, they long for our time, our attention, and our presence. The grandmother also teaches us that true peace comes from kindness, faith, and accepting life's changes with grace. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is that love spoken through actions is remembered long after words are forgotten. If this story touched your heart, remember to cherish the people who are always waiting for you, because one day, the moments you take for granted may become the memories you miss the most.
Subscribe to Rise and Shine Tales.